Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Alfred from Practical Code Academy. Today, actually, we're going to go over the HTML page structure. So I'm going to start by creating a folder here. I'm going to call it HTML module 1. And I'm going to open it here. I'm going to create a file. I'm going to number it to be a reference for you guys so you can practice this. So I'm going to call it 1.structure, which is the structure of HTML page. And I'm going to change the extension to be HTML. Yes. Next, I'm going to open it with Visual Studio Code. We did all that in the last video. So this is my page, is empty. And now I'm going to put a paragraph. This is my paragraph. And don't forget to save. As you can see, you see here the white circle. So that means I need to save this. So after I save it, minimize this, go open the page. As you can see here, this is my paragraph. And if you remember, you press an F12 or you inspect the page, which is Control-Shift-I, click and inspect. Notice here that this is your paragraph. And the page already, or put for you, the body, head tags, HTML tags, you don't know anything about these tags. You didn't write them, but they insert it automatically for you to structure this page. So we're going to discuss what is the use of these tags, what is different between the head tags and the body tags, why do you need the HTML tags, and we're going to describe why this is the basic layout of any HTML page structure. This is like how the HTML page work. It works as a tree. So you have your document, in that case our file. It must have a root element, and the root element in that case called HTML. This is what defined to the browser that this document is an HTML document. So it's a definition that this is an HTML document. Inside the HTML document, as you can see nested inside it, you're going to find a head element. A head element technically, or the head tag, is not provided any information that will be shown to the user or rendered to the user. It's an instructions that you send to the browser itself. For example, if you want to change the title of the page, as you can see right now in our page, it don't have any title, so it used the file name as a title. The title usually here, that's where is the page title. It's not rendered to the user, it's an information that you send it to the browser itself. That's why right now we didn't send any title here. So it's using the file name. So title is an information that we send to the browser. We don't want to render it to the user. Since you send it to the browser, you have to put it inside the head element here, where the information goes to the browser. Beside the head, you have the body. The body where you put all your elements that you want rendered to the user. So H1, paragraph, images, links, anything. You have to put it inside the body. And they call this a tree. The reason for that, you can think about it as a parent and child. So we have here the document and then HTML. You can consider the head as the child of the HTML. And also the body here is also the child of the HTML. So HTML having two childs. One is the head and one is the body. And also you can think about the title here as the child of the head. And both head and body are siblings because both are on the same level inside the HTML. So inside the body here, you can put h1 tag. Inside this h1 tag having some text, and then you can put an a tag. And by the way, a tag for creating links. If you want to create a link in your page, you use the a tag. The last video we described the h1, the p tag, or the paragraph tag. Here, the a is short for anchor, which is a link. With that being said, that the HTML is a parent of the head and also the parent of the body, they are nested together. So how do you write it? This is the parent here, the HTML. It have the body as a child, so the body is the child. So notice the opening tag and the closing tag, and everything is between this opening and closing tag. That's mean the body here, or whole this is the child or inside the HTML. Also for the body, this is the body tag having h1 and paragraph as a child. And both of them are inserted and nested inside the opening tag of the body and the closing tag of the body. In that case, h1 and the paragraph are siblings, and they are the child of the body, and the body is the parent of the h1 and the parent of the paragraph. So this is how the tags are nested. Let's practice this. So I'm going to open my file here. I believe it's open with Visual Studio Code. So as I mentioned, you need an HTML tag to identify that the following code will be written in HTML to the browser. And between the opening and the closing of the HTML tag, you insert any other elements you want to insert or tags. In that case, I want to put the head, which, as I mentioned, the head provide information to the browser itself. It don't render anything in the head. So the head, I want to add a title. So I want to add a title tag. And the title tag is responsible for the title of your page. So I'm going to call it my website. So now the title is the child of the head, and the head is the child of the HTML. Okay, this is for the information that you don't want to show it to the user. This is instructions. You send it to the web browser itself. For whatever you want to show to the user, you must wrap it inside a body tag. So now I have the body here. And notice the indentation that Visual Studio put it automatically for you, because it's already know that this are the child of the HTML. And the title will be the child of the head. It will help you to visualize the child and the parent. For the body, let's put it in h1, my title, the opening tag, closing tag, and the whole h1 element here. Also, I'm going to have a paragraph. I'm going to call it my paragraph. And I'm going to save this. And now let's open it here. Notice that the title here gets changed for the page. And the title right now is reflected whatever you put in the title tag here. I put my website, and now it's showing my website. If I change it to anything, 2, for example, I added the number 2, and I save it, I need to refresh the page here, and now you see the 2 here. Okay. How titles is important for your website. If you go for Google, and you search for anything, let's say website or web page development, anything, you can search for anything. We can go here. So web development -Wikipedia. This what's shown to you here is actually the title of the page. So if I open the page, as you can see here, the title is whatever shown on the Google search. So it's very important to pick your title very correctly, because this is what the user see when he search for your website. Okay, now I want to introduce you to one important extension that I've been using with Visual Studio Code. The extension that I'm using, for example, if I'm having no indentation here and my code look like really ugly, let me miss out with the code and do something here. Now I cannot read this. This is really ugly. If I press Alt-Shift F, as you can see, it will be organized back and put in a nice format. And the reason for that, I have the extension Prettier. And as you can see here, down there, it's showing the extension Prettier. To download any extension, just gonna zoom out. To download any extension in Visual Studio Code, all you need to do, go to this icon here, which is extensions, click on it, and search for any extension you need. In that case, the extension that I'm using is Prettier. So I'm going to search for Prettier. which is this one, Prettier code formatted. And you're going to find how many times people install it, the rating, how you can use it. And this is not only for HTML code. Prettier work for JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. So it's a very helpful and productive extension that you can use. And I use it a lot when the code gets pretty long and messy, and I need to just organize it. I just press Alt, Shift, and F, and it will organize my code. Well, this is one extension. Now let me introduce you to the second extension. Let me close this page. The second plugin will be that we're going to use is the live server. And I'm going to show you in a little bit why we need that. You click on it here and click, you should see the install, you press the install. Also for Prettier, when you click on it, you should see the install button, you press the install button, and it will install it. Okay. I'm going to close this. I'm going to show you why. I'm going to open my folder. I'm going to open the file itself with Visual Studio Code. And I'm going to open it here. This is my page. And now let's change something here. My paragraph is awesome. And I save it, Control S. Now it didn't reflect here. I need to refresh the page in order to see any reflection. Well, the live server will allow you to reflect any changes you make here. Once you press save, it will reflect directly here and no need to refresh it because it will always watching your code. And if you made any changes here, it will reflect it to the page, which is going to be saving you from keep refreshing your page. But however, you might say, why it's not working here? So I press here, exclamation mark, and I save, and nothing reflected here. And the reason for that, in order to use the live server, you need to right-click and open the file with live server. And now you get an error. This error saying that you cannot open the file by itself. You need to open the folder that containing your project with Visual Studio Code. So you cannot open the file itself with Visual Studio Code. Not just the file, you need to open the whole folder with Visual Studio Code. That's why you go to your project folder, right-click, and open it with Visual Studio Code. And now you can see here on the file icon or the Explorer icon, this is a welcome screen, you can close it. In the Explorer icon here, you can toggle the files. I have my file here. I'm going to click on it to open it. And here is my file. If I right-click on it, open it with open with live server, I'm sorry. And here is my file opened with live server. And now let's take out this exclamation mark and save it. As you can see, I didn't refresh the page and all the exclamation mark are disappeared. If I make any other changes, like 23, and I save it, it will be reflected directly to your browser. And I believe this is amazing because it saves you a lot of time and it always can reflect any changes you make in the code. That's it for the live server. Now let's discuss attributes. HTML attributes. Attributes can be added to any HTML elements. So you can add it for H1, the HTML tag, the header, any elements in HTML, you can add an attributes to it. So what attributes do, it's actually providing an additional information to that element. Where is the attributes? Where you put them? You'll always put them in opening tag. So if I have an opening tag like this, and then the text content and then closing tag, the attribute goes inside the angled brackets of the opening tag. It goes here. Okay, so that's the location where you add the attributes. And the attributes usually comes in the name, value, pairs. So this is the syntax. You have an opening tag, the tag name, then the attribute name, and you put equal, then the value wrapped up with double quotation. Okay, here is some example. For example, I have a paragraph. I have the opening tag of the paragraph. Inside the opening tag of the paragraph, I have a title attribute. In that case, the title is just the attribute name. So the title equal paragraph, and paragraph in that case is the value. And the title equal paragraph, the whole thing is called the attribute. And as you can see, it's enclosed inside the opening tag. Okay, now what does the title attribute do for this paragraph? The title technically will give a title to this element. That means when the user hover over this element in the HTML page, it will show that title. I'm going to replace this paragraph. Now I have the opening tag here. I'm going to do the not attribute. I'm going to do title equal my paragraph. This is amazing. So whatever going to be shown to the user is the content here. This is amazing. Let me open it with the live server. So let me click this. This is amazing. This is the paragraph body itself. However, the title is the attribute, and I put the value my paragraph. I believe I forget a P here. So when I hover over it with the mouse, as you can see, there is the title give me this like a pop-up or screen saying my paragraph or whatever you set the title to. So this is how you can add this pop-up, and it can be added to any element. This is the title attribute. So it added or given this element an extra information that when the user hover over it, show this text, which is my paragraph. Okay, let's get back to the examples here. Another thing, we have the A tag, which is short for anchor tag, which is how you can create links. Okay, now I want to create a link here. To create a link, you need the A tag, and the A is short for anchor tag. So you start the element with the A, as we know. This is the opening tag, and then you put the element content or the text content. I'm going to put my link, and then the closing tag for it, which in that case //A. So right now I'm telling the browser I want to create a link, and this is going to be the visible text to the user, my link. If I save this, as you can see, I can see it here. But when I click on it, nothing happened. And the reason for that, you never told the browser where do you want this link to go to. So you need to provide an extra information to the browser where this link should go to. To do that, you need an attribute. And in that case, the attribute we're going to use is the href, which is reference or short for hyperlink reference. So h, which is the hyperlink, and ref, which is the reference. So let's add the attributes here, which is inside the opening tag. Put some space, then href. So this is the attribute name that we're going to use to tell the browser where does this link have to go to. So as I said, hyperlink reference. Equal, I'm going to do double quotation. And in that case, I want to go Google website. So I'm going to do http google.com. And I save. And notice once I save, the color of the text change, the underline, and now when I hover over it with the mouse, I have this pointer now. And if I click on it, it will gonna take me to Google. Okay, now the question, can you add multiple attributes to the same element? The question is yes. So for example, you can use the image tag. So I'm gonna do opening tag, closing tag for an image. So this img is a short for image, and that's how you add images to your document. For that, I'm going to download an image really quick. I'm going to go to a website called Unsplash. I'm going to search for any image, but I need it to be a very small image. So I'm going to select small. I'm going to get it from the downloads, show in folder, cut it. I'm going to put it in the folder here. I'm going to rename it as anything, img.gpg. Close that. Now open my site here. So for the image here, you think probably we need to close it like this, right? Because that's what I told you. You have an opening tag and you must have a closing tag for the element. Actually, that's not correct. Image is one of the elements that you don't require a closing tag. So you don't need a closing tag. It only consists of opening tag. And the reason for that, because you don't add text inside it here. You're just adding an image. So you don't add any information or text content inside it. So there is no need for closing tag. So that's why I don't need a closing tag. It just consists of an opening tag. Okay, now the question, if I save this, nothing happened. Why? Because I need to tell the browser, where is my image and what is the name of my image? And you do that using attributes because it's an extra information you need to provide to the browser about this element. So inside my opening tag, I'm going to add the attribute source or src. This is source. So it's a piece of information. I want to say that the source of my image will be inside here, and it's called img. As you can see, the Visual Studio will help you because it understands that this image is existing in the same folder, and it will suggest the name for you. And in that case, yes, this is the image that I need. And if I save it, and it's going to open the image for you, I want the width of the image to be less, and I also want the height to be less. So I need to pass this information through attribute. And in that case, I'm also going to put the attribute here. And you separate them with the spaces. So I'm going to put height equal. Let's say I put the height 200 pixel. You don't have to write bx, just 200, and it will fully understand that this you mentioned pixel. By default is pixels. So now I'm adding the attribute name height, and the value of it is 200, which is 200 pixels. So as you can see, this is one attribute, and this is another attribute. And if I save this, it will put the height as 200 pixels. Now we can do the width as 400 pixels. It will change the width of this image to be 400 pixels. And I save that. As you can see, it will be stretched a little bit. So now you have three attributes in the same element describing this element or adding information to the browser how to render this element or how to find the files or any information you need about this element. I'm going to create a paragraph here, and I'm going to add a dummy text or dummy paragraph using lorem, and I'm going to toggle my screen here, word toggle, to see what's going on. Save that, and here's my text shown here. Good. What do you think if I added spaces here? A lot of spaces in my code. Do you think that these spaces will be reflected here? If you think so, think again, because now when I save this, nothing happened here. Because these spaces, the browser don't care about it. It will show your code without any space. It's only existing in your code, but it's not going to be rendered to the user. Okay. What if I put new lines? Keep pressing enter. The same thing. If I save it, the browser don't care about it. It will just continue rendering everything. It will eliminate any new lines you created here. So this is not good. What if I need to create a new line? To create a new line, we have a tag that called break or BR tag. Break gonna always give you a new line or a break line. So as you can see here, BR, there is no closing tag for it. It's just an opening tag. And the reason for that, because there is no content you can add to this. You cannot have any content than the closing tag. And if you save that, and you can see now your line breaks. You can add multiple of them. So you can add BR, BR. And now I have 3 lines separated here. Okay. Beside the break, we have also horizontal line. I can use I'm just going to keep the break for your reference in your code. And between the breaks, I'm going to do HR, which is short for horizontal line. If I save this, as you can see, there is a horizontal line been drawn here. So horizontal line and breaks don't require a closing tag. Similarly, the image here don't require a closing tag. Okay, a note for you that you can keep it that way, just opening tag, or you can add here a / after it. It's up to you. Both will work. You want to add it, you're going to find it some codes only that the element don't require closing tag, that you add this / at the end before the angle bracket. And with the slash, it's XHTML, not just plain HTML, which is more restricted markup than the just plain HTML. Well, that's been said. So I'm just gonna keep a couple of them with the / and none without the /. Okay, now you know about the paragraph. Now you know that when you put any spaces here, the browser don't care about the spaces or new lines. You know that there is some elements that you don't require any closing tags for them, as an image or horizontal line or breaking line. One last note I want to mention here. For the attribute value, as you can see, we wrap them with double quotation. Do you think the double quotation is required or not? So for example, if from the source, if I took it out like this, what do you think is going to happen if I save? Nothing going to happen. And it's not required. And you actually doesn't have to be double quotation. It can be single quotation as well. So I can change it as a single quotation. However, it's a good programming practice to add the double quotation or a single quotation in that case. And I'm going to give you an example why you need the double quotation or a single quotation. What if our file name here, I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call it image dash or -1. Okay. And in our code here, I'm not going to put the single quotation or double quotation. I'm going to put -1. Now your code will be break for the reason because source now is going to be equal image, which I don't have any file called image. And now you're going to have a space, which is indicating there is a new attribute here, name called 1.jpg, which is not an actual attribute name. So you break here, you put some space here. To solve this problem, you need to wrap it up with the double quotation or the single quotation, and that will solve your problem. The next topic that I want to talk about is going to be the Doctype. What I mean by the Doctype, as you know for now, the current version of HTML or the newest one is the HTML5. There was an HTML4 and there was an HTML3, there was an HTML2 and 1. So you need to tell the browser which version of HTML your HTML code running on. In that case, we didn't say anything, and the browser by default, it will make the assumption it's HTML5, which is the latest. However, to explicitly saying what version you're using, you have to tell what kind of document is this, or using the Doctype. So it's a tag, you use the exclamation mark, and you type Doctype. And now our Doctype here, you're defining the Doctype. And remember the exclamation mark. This is the syntax for the Doctype. Put the exclamation mark, Doctype, and now we have to put which version we're using. And since the version we're using in HTML5, it's very simple. You just type HTML, and that's short for the HTML5, and that's what indicating to the browser saying, listen, we're using HTML5. And you can save it, and as you can see, nothing happened here. If you want to see how you can define document for HTML3 or HTML2, you can type in Doctype HTML3, and you can always go to the W3 school page, and this is for HTML4. As you can see, you had before to type all this string here. Another thing I want to describe here, because you might see it in a lot of codes, it's the HTML tag here. You can add the language attribute to indicate to the browser that the language that you're using inside your document is English, for example, which is the case that I'm using here. So you add the lang equal. The lang here is the attribute, which is short for language, equal en, which in that case, English. Okay? So now we added an attribute here indicating that the language we're going to use for this page is going to be English. Okay, so you might be thinking right now, oh, this is going to be crazy. Every time I'm going to start a project, I have to write down the doctype, HTML, the head, the body, the title, and everything. And actually, no. This Visual Studio Code and many other text editor, they're having a very cool feature called Emmet. So I'm going to delete this for a moment. They have a feature called Emmet that it can generate a boilerplate for you for your HTML code by just simply typing exclamation mark. And notice once I type the exclamation mark in Visual Studio Code, it tell me and it show me here the Emmet that it will generate this skeleton, which including the doctype, the HTML, the head, and the body tags. So if you press enter or tab, it will generate the basic structure of a proper HTML document. Okay, that's been said. Notice also that you have here two tags that you're not familiar with, which is the meta tags. We're going to discuss this in the next video. However, you have your title, you have your head, you have your body, and you have the HTML tags. Okay, guys, I hope you liked this video and it's clear some of the confusions about attributes and the document structure in general. And in the next video, we're going to cover the meta tags and how you can use them and how they can probably give information about your page. I hope you like this video. If you do like it, hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe now. Have a good day.